and may I formally welcome you to the first meeting of the Committee of the Executive Office. Can I also remind you that the microphones are now live, the cameras are on. We would ask you to put your phones to silent and to connect via the Wi-Fi. Do we have the instructions for that, or are they only?
We do have instructions, yeah, they'll be in the gallery room, yeah. If any member needs them, yeah.
Okay. No members in the public gallery, and we have no apologies because we have a full house. So, members, on page 15 of your packs, you'll find a list of the committee's membership. For your information, you'll have received a hard copy contact detail form, and I think everybody has now filled it in. But if you could leave it behind before you leave the meeting. Page 17, you'll see contact details for the staff of the committee, and can I welcome Adrian to the committee. Stephen is back, Karen and Kathy also back, and you're all very welcome. The Clerk's brief is at page 19. Members are required to register relevant interests in the Register of Members' Interests, and the deadline, members, for that is Thursday the 9th of June. In addition, Standing Order 69.5 states that a member who has either a financial interest in any matter or a relevant interest in any matter must declare that interest before taking part in any proceedings of the Assembly relating to that matter, and a proceeding does include meetings of this committee. And as this is the first meeting of the committee, members should declare any interests held which are relevant to the work of the committee. So I ask, does any member have any interest to declare? Thank you. That is a no. The rules governing the registration and declaration of interests are contained in the Code of Conduct and guide to the rules relating to the conduct of members, and further advice and guidance is available from the Clerk of Standards, who resides in room 243. Now, at page 22, you'll see a number of documents relating to the procedures for statutory committees, including a guide to the powers and operation of statutory committees for chairpersons and members. That's at page 22. At page 32 is a guide to the role of the chairperson. There's a guide for members in the role and functions of the committee office at page 37. Then there's a guide on good practice guidelines for an effective research service to committees. That's page 39. And at page 49, a guidance on timescales for interaction between committees and departments. In the absence of any comments, are members content to note these guides? Thank you. Do members wish to receive an overview from Assembly Research on the services that they provide? Or is that something new members will conduct on a party basis?
I was in the research department of our party for 11 years, so I know the Assembly people reasonably well. Yes.
Mm-hmm. No appetite? Okay, that's fine. That's good. Subordinate legislation is next, members, so this is something we do have to go through and formally approve or not. I directed to page 54 of your packs. There you'll find guidance on the handling of subordinate legislation in the form of statutory rules, including the different types of statutory rules and the way with which each is considered by the committee. Paragraph 7 of the guidance, which is page 55, deals with the technical aspects of scrutiny, and it's normal practice for a committee to delegate the technical examination of subordinate legislation to the examiner of statutory rules at the beginning of a mandate. Any comments or queries? If not, then, members, if you're content, I will formally propose the following motion and ask that the Committee for the Executive Office resolves, under Standing Order 43, to delegate to the Examiner of Statutory Rules the technical scrutiny of statutory rules referred to the Committee under the above-mentioned Standing Order. The Committee further resolves that in carrying out this function, the Examiner shall be authorised to report his technical findings on each statutory rule to the Assembly and to the relevant department, as well as to the Committee itself, and to publish his report. Are members content to approve that motion? Agreed. Thank you very much. The Committee for the Office of the First Minister and Deputy First Minister have left a legacy report for the 2011-16 mandate. That begins in your meeting pack at page 58, members. It highlights the key achievements and successes of the committee during the last mandate, and it includes the end of session report for 2015-16. Perhaps I could refer you particularly to pages 70 to 74, where the committee has outlined issues that we, as the new committee, may wish to consider. And these include timely receipt of departmental papers and the frequency of ministerial briefings, the programme for government and investment strategy, together building a united community, the review of the departments, the Transfer of Functions Order Northern Ireland 2015, historical institutional abuse, age discrimination legislation, refugee integration strategy, delivering social change, social investment fund, European matters, UK reporting cycle to the United Nations and Council of Europe treaties, and Ebrington Barracks and Mays Long Kesh. So quite a lengthy list of potential strategic interest, members. Any initial comments? One thing I would say, members, is that we got into quite a pickle in terms of the timely receipt of departmental briefings. It got to the point where, Cathy, I think I'm right in saying, we got a very lengthy financial update at 5 minutes to 2 one Wednesday, just 5 minutes before we were due to get a briefing. And my view was that I wasn't prepared to conduct scrutiny, because if you're looking at 100 pages of financial data, it'd be very easy to miss something. And 6 months down the line, when it comes to light, you run the risk of the department saying, well, you had a briefing 6 months ago, you didn't mention it. So we ended up actually engaging the head of the civil service, and for a period it did improve, but then it slipped again. So I'm hoping under this new mandate, new regime, we will have timely delivery of papers and maybe a more frequent engagement with ministers, junior ministers and senior officials than we had last time. Any further comments, members, on?
Chair, was the legacy report shared with them?
It was certainly, it was published, wasn't it?
It was published, yeah. They were all published online, yeah.
Maybe worthwhile reminding the Executive Office of the legacy report, particularly in respect of those matters of timeliness of reports, attendance of officials, and particularly attendance of FM and DFM.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do members have any views on how frequently we should be asking the ministers?
Was it in the last mandate, Mike?
Well, it went for over a year without FM and DFM. Now in fairness, Peter Robinson had an illness, and then there was another delay, which I think was understandable. Given there are 4 ministers, I'm wondering whether we should be looking sort of quarterly, which would mean every 6 months for FM, DFM. Remember, I mean, think about it. We don't need to come to a conclusion.
Through the Chair, I think, Chair, it's for the planning day, because, I mean, we may need to call ministers at a given point, and we need to look at that. To be fair, rather, when we can set a time frame now, but maybe it's up for discussion on our planning day.
Sure. Can I? Yes. So Stuart's recommending that we alert TEO, the Executive Office, to the legacy report. Are members content that we drop them a note?
Yeah.
Ahead of next week. The other thing, if I may, members, just the historical institutional abuse piece. The legislation came through the Legacy Committee last term, and we got some significant changes to it, not least the opening date moved from the inception of the National Health Service to 1922. But what was pointed out to us was that the abuse inquiry that Sir Anthony Hart is chairing only deals with victims who were abused in an institutional setting. So if you were abused by a member of the clergy in a domestic setting, you do not have recourse to this inquiry. And all OFM, DFM used to say was you can go to the police, you can go to the social services. We've now reached a point where Sir Anthony has said that he will recommend reparation for those victims who fall within his remit, and that is likely to be financial. So, in my assessment, quite a gap has opened up between victims who are abused in an institutional setting and those who are abused in a non-institutional setting. And given clearly they are victims, it was not their fault, I'm very uncomfortable with that gap between those who have recourse to this dedicated inquiry and those who are being told, go to the social services, go to the police. So just to put it on your radar, and the support groups for the victims, as I'm sure you know, are now becoming very agitated about not leaving everything until Sir Anthony reports in January next year, and then the executive having to analyse it, look at options and make a decision which may not come to 2018, maybe 2019. And it's a big issue given the age profile of these victims. So just to say that's one I would be particularly keen we keep a focus to. Danny.
Chairman, thanks. In addition to that, I think there's also an issue emerging about the status of investigations into a couple of homes, albeit in another jurisdiction, but run by the Protestant churches. And serious accusations about abuse which took place there, and that hasn't been recognised by the government of the Irish Republic in their dealing with this issue, but it does impact on quite a number of Northern Ireland citizens who spend time in those care homes and whose lives were severely impacted upon. And I think I would be interested in trying to pursue some method by which at least those voices could be heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fair point. Sure.
Can I just support what Danny's saying? In fact, this week there was a television programme based on one of the family search type programmes, but it actually highlighted that particular issue of a lady who had, or a girl who had been, there'd been an element of abuse in one of those homes in Dublin. However, the family, the succeeding family, all reside in Northern Ireland. Now, the programme was not about the issue of abuse, it was about family tracing. However, it highlights the very issue that you're making, that many of the children who were in homes in the Republic of Ireland have ended up, or their families have ended up, citizens in this part of the island because of those changes that were taking place in the 20s. So it's a very important issue, and it's one which perhaps the committee needs to deal with, both in terms of those citizens residing here, but I think it's also one which we need to be taking up on a cross-border basis as well.
Yeah, well, I suggest that's a matter to raise next Wednesday with FMDFM when we get an update. And anybody else, or any other issue at this stage? Okay. So the first day brief came through less than an hour ago, I think, members. It is available in your table pack, and obviously it outlines the main priorities of business areas for the Executive Office, including the key personnel. And as I say, we'll be looking to get the senior departmental officials to committee as soon as possible. I'm going to suggest you just note it at this stage, and it might be useful in terms of your prep for a session with FMDFM next week. Content?
Great.
So next is our draft forward work programme, page 88 of your pack. The draft programme, sorry, it's draft programme for government, not the forward work programme. Sorry, members. The draft programme for government framework for 2016-21 is at page 88 in your pack. It was laid in the Business Office and published on the 27th of May, and you should have had a hard copy through your pigeonholes. Now, the consultation is open until the 22nd of July, and then detailed action plans are due to be drawn up. And following consideration of the response to this initial consultation, TO are intending that a second consultation will be undertaken alongside consultation on the budget with a view to securing executive and assembly approval by the end of this calendar year. So now in the past it's been our responsibility to coordinate responses from the other assembly statutory committees to a draft programme for government. But given this is an 8-week consultation on a framework, I really don't think we have time to do that, members. So what I'm proposing is that we consider coordinating responses to the draft which follows the consultation on this framework. So we have 3 documents as I see it. This one is the framework. It's consulted on, then there'll be a draft programme for government, much more detailed. That will also go out to consultation, and then that will lead to the final PFG at the end of the year. So I'm suggesting where we start coordinating responses from the other statutories is when they consult on the second document rather than on this one. Are we content with that approach?
Agreed.
Could I also suggest that we consider commissioning Assembly research to bring us a paper on how outcomes-based approaches to programme for governments are applied in other jurisdictions. I think everybody's aware that the Scottish model has been used quite heavily in drawing up this framework, but it's not exclusive to Scotland. So I'm proposing that we ask Assembly Research to bring us a paper which might inform how we judge what the executive have done. Are we content?
Yeah.
Okay. Or would you also be content that once we've done that, we would circulate it to the other statutory committees for their information?
Great.
Okay, thanks. Now, we had hoped to have a written brief on the June monitoring round for information today. However, we haven't received it in advance of today's meeting. Can I ask, are all members content with the concept of the monitoring rounds? There's no... Yeah, okay. So an overview of the budget for the Executive Office and June monitoring will be provided during forthcoming briefings, members. And now we do go to the draft forward work programme, and that's page 208 of your meeting packs, and that's a draft for the remainder of this session. As mentioned, FMDFM have indicated they're keen to come next Wednesday, the 8th of June. And as well as subsequent briefings from senior departmental officials, we are proposing that the arm's length bodies also attend to provide an overview of their work. Any comments and suggestions on the work programme between now and summer recess, members? If not, can I ask, are you content to agree the draft work programme?
Right.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So, members, any other business you would wish to raise today? If not, we adjourn until Wednesday the 8th at 2 p.m. here at room 30.
Northern Ireland Assembly, Committee Room 30.